All right. Futures Rewritten Ultimate Phase 2, Part 1. I'm going to put this video into two different parts because if I want to go into some detail with this video and show some different examples, and if I do all of Phase 2 and Transition, it's going to be like 40 minutes long, and I want to do that. So, this is my melee walkthrough for Phase 2 of FRU. If you haven't seen my videos before, this isn't like a full complete guide, it's a melee walkthrough. Although, with this phase, like, most people have to deal with most things, so it might be the same. Anyway, let's get through this. At the end of Phase 1, Shiva's going to spawn and start Phase 2. So we're going to start in our clock positions. I am melee 2 in this example, so my clock position is 3. And we can start by just hitting the boss. They're going to do a tank buster. The tank is going to invuln it. And then a few things are going to happen. I'm going to start casting Mirror Image. All this does is make a copy. And then I'm going to start casting Diamond Dust. And I want to talk about a really useful thing that you might not be aware of if you don't do ultimates. And that is the enemy list, which is over here. Yours might be somewhere else in your interface, but you want to find it. So your enemy list, it shows all targets, whether they are targetable or not. And it's really important in this phase because the boss is about to become untargetable. And if we can just read what they're casting, then it's going to be a lot easier. So, hold on. Let me turn the music down just a smidge. Okay. So I'm going to unpause it, and what we are looking for is we need to figure out two things, okay? One is, are we in or out? And two, are we swapping? So what does that mean? One, let's just do the in or out first, and we'll unpause. So we're looking at the enemy list cast bars, because they go untargetable now. And here, we can see that they're casting Scythe Kick. So that's the sad here. We can't target them. So the best thing to do is to look at the cast bar in the enemy list. They also have a line here, like Reap means that it's Scythe, and she's actually going to say the word Reap. So you can do this audibly if you really want. I think it's just more consistent to just look at the cast bar. It's way easier. You look at the same place every time. And Scythe is going to be an in, because Scythe is going to do a donut AoE. The safe spot is a little bit small. If I were to draw the safe spot, it's going to be like a kind of that big. So we need everyone to be in the safe spot, and then we need to figure out, are we going to swap or not? And what I mean by swap is, for this mechanic, we use color pairs. So color pairs, you can see like 2 and B are both yellow, 3 and C are both blue. So you're gonna, if you need to swap, you're gonna swap between your color. So I'm 3, so if I'm gonna swap, I would swap to C. So in other words, if we need to swap, me and my support would just swap right there. So DPS are gonna go clockwise, support's gonna go counterclockwise if we swap. So let's figure out how we swap. So right after this cast starts, it's going to happen in a second, the boss is going to put circle AoEs over a roll. And the thing that I say over and over in my head, at least when I like first started doing this, is circles off of circles. So here's how you tell. You see these two big circles that spawned across from each other? They're going to spawn in a cardinal or intercardinal. If the circles that spawn on top of players create a Venn diagram, like they're on the same cardinal or intercardinal as the big circles, then you need to swap. So that's why I say circles off of circles. So let's see what happens this pull. Okay, circle spawned. It's on me. And I am on a different line than the circles. So circles are off of circles. You guys see that? So like this circle's there, and the first circle that spawned was there. Okay, so we don't have to swap. So we are in, and we are not swapping. That answers the two questions that we asked before. And that's the main thing that you need to think about for this mechanic, Diamond Dust. So everyone is inside that circle that I talked about. And then the people who don't have this circle debuff, they're going to have to bait cones. Cones are going to target the 4 closest people to the boss. So if we unpause this for a second. Here's what we got. So the people without the circle debuffs, they're close in here. They're here. So since they're the closest 4 targets, they're gonna bait a cone that shoots this way. And that means that we don't get hit here. And then the only other question is, where do we stand that's not going to get hit by the donut? And you can use lines in the floor for that. So you can see in my intercard position, there's this arrow here. Okay, and I'm like right on the tip of that arrow, see? And I can even be like a smidgen forward and still not be close to the boss. If you were on a cardinal, you can see this arrow going this way. Take some of that clutter off. There's this arrow going this way. You can be like right on the tip of that arrow too. So that's going to be the safe spots for the people with this big circle. And everyone else is closer to the boss. And there's one other thing that we got to worry about, but we'll attack that in 1 second. So I'm going to unpause it, and we're going to see the donut and the cones come out. It looks hectic, I know. And there's the donut and the cones, right? Now you saw that I moved kind of early. That's because the snapshotting for this is actually pretty easy. So the safe spot is like inside here, right? But I can move as soon as this cast disappears. Okay, again, I'm looking at the enemy list. The enemy list is so useful for this phase. So as soon as this disappears, this cast right here, that's the snapshot, and I'm safe to move. So people with these circles, they're gonna move to this line on the floor here, this circle I can't draw. You'll see in a second. Boom. And you want to drop this circle on or literally right outside of this line on the floor here. It's a pretty big line, so you can't really miss it. As soon as you drop that, you come back in. Drop and back in. And the people who baited, they can just chill in the middle. So if we watch all of that over again from Diamond Dust, look at the cast. It's scythe, so we're in. Circles are off of circles, so we don't swap. We wait for the cast to end, move out to the line, drop it, come back in. And that's that. After that, you're just going to have to find where you're going to get knocked back to. It's really easy to do, and you have a few seconds to do it. So what you're looking for is there's going to be two spots, two markers that are opposite each other that do not have a Venn diagram going on. So you can see there's a circle here and a circle there, but there's nothing here, so it's safe. There's a lot of visual clutter, but there's like Venn diagrams going all the way around here. These are going to use the same safe spots as Phase 1. So Group 1 is going to be, what is it, purple and red. And Group 2 are going to be yellow and blue markers. I will usually start looking like north at A or 2 and go either clockwise or counterclockwise until I find my safe spot, depending on what group I am. But we're going to get knocked back. Go to the edge, and we're safe. And then you're just gonna look at the white boss, and you're gonna rotate away. There's gonna be, you're gonna stutter step a little bit. There's gonna be 4 AoEs that are stacked. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then this boss over here, they're gonna change clothes, and that would be rude to watch, right? So we have to look away. It's a gaze attack. So you're gonna do 4 stacks as you move away from the other boss, and then you're gonna look away. Normally, you can just look at the wall, you know, unless the boss is literally right here, just look at the wall, it's fine. Okay, and now notice how I aim my camera. I'm aiming my camera so the boss is like directly in front. That's because we have this ice skating debuff. If you just press a directional button, then you're gonna skate like all across. It's a really big skate. So the boss is gonna do a stillness or what's the other one? Calmness? Or silence. Stillness or silence, I'm sorry. If the boss says stillness, then the safe spot is gonna be behind her first. And the safe spot would be like a cone behind her. If the boss, and then she's gonna do the opposite. If the boss says silence, then the safe spot is going to be in front first, and we need to move according to that. So again, there's an audible, she's going to say the line so you can hear it, or you can just look at the cast. I usually look at the cast. So we can see it says stillness in the cast, and she says it. So you can look at it multiple ways, but again, I like to look at the cast. So it's stillness, and we need to start behind. So 1 tap, we go behind, and then again, we're looking at the cast bar here. As soon as this cast disappears, then you would move again. Really, really useful to look at the enemy list. Cast disappears, we move. That's the snapshot. And that's the mechanic, that's Diamond Dust. That seems like a lot, right? Let's look at another example. So that was in and no swap, right? I think I have it labeled. Let's do FRU, Phase 2. Let's do out and swap. Okay, this one's labeled out and swap. So this is the opposite of what we just looked at. So it's a good example. So she does her tank busters. We can actually skip ahead. Okay, so here's Diamond Dust, right? So we're looking for 2 things, remember. Are we in or out? And do we swap? So we wait for the cast. So last time it was Scythe, this time it's Axe. So if it's Axe, it means we're going to go out to the end of the arena. And the other thing, do we swap? So the question is, circles off of circles. So if we look, right, circles off of circles. So we see here that circles are on circles. See that? It's a Venn diagram. So that means we swap. So I am just going to swap positions with the person of the same color as me. So we are out and we are swap. So we swap and we go out. And everything else is the same. So the 4 closest people are going to bait the cones, and the people with the circle debuff are going to be out. So now we're using a different line because we're out. This line on the floor right here. So because I don't have a circle around me, that means I'm baiting. So I am close to this line, and the people who are not baiting are far from the line. They're like on the edge of the arena. I'm close to the line. And then you book it. You book it in. If you don't have some kind of gap closer, I suggest you pop sprint for this. There's no reason not to sprint. You know, you should just sprint. But I'm a Reaper, so I teleport. And another thing to realize is the timing is a little... The timing doesn't happen all at once. So the cones come out, and the people with the circle, you can see it dropped like right here. They have to wait a second to drop, and then they move. And then we're the same. So we look for the safe spot. This time it's C. We know it's C because there's no Venn diagram over here. So it's C and A. I'm group 2, so I'm going to C. We get knocked back. And then we rotate. 2, 3, 4. And this is like what I said before. You have to look away from the ad. And this happens sometimes where the ad is where you end up. So don't look at the ad. So I'm looking this way. And then, remember, I always say out loud, stillness behind, because stillness is the one I'm going to have to react to first if it's stillness. So I'm going to look at the cast bar over here, see if it's stillness or silence. It's stillness, so I go behind first, wait for the cast to disappear, and then I go back. Someone got snapshotted there. It's not hard. Like, once, it seems like there's a lot of moving parts, but it's really not hard. I don't know if this is a good example or not. So let's go to the other video. Come back. Okay. So after, just so we know that we're in the same spot. So we looked away. I'm going to go over one more mechanic, and then we'll go into another video. So that was stillness, so we start behind, cast disappears, and we move again. And then it's just going to be a group stack. And then we get into mirrors. Okay. So, as a melee DPS, you just follow the boss. You don't have to worry about anything else. The tank is going to pull the boss. The tank is going to pull the boss opposite this blue mirror. There's going to be one blue mirror and 2 red mirrors. So the tank is going to pull the boss all the way to the other side of that. But again, as a melee DPS, you don't have to worry about that. Just follow where the tank is pulling it. And the boss is going to do another scythe kick. This is always going to be scythe. Okay? So again, this is a donut and and it's going to target the 4 closest people for the cone. So it's the same thing that happened before. Now, because the boss was pulled opposite the other mirror, we know that the other group is directly that way. And all of us are going to bait cones. So we have to make sure our cones don't go toward the other group and kill them. So I am melee 2, so I'm going to be on the right as we are facing the wall. Okay, so if I was looking that way, I'm going to be on the right because I'm melee 2. If I was melee 1, I'd be on the left. So melee 1 is like over here. Melee 1. And we're going to be close to the boss because there's a donut too. It's not hard. So I'm baiting the cone away from the other group. See that? And the other group is baiting cones away from us. There we go, that's a better shot. Now the same thing is going to happen now with these 2 other mirrors. Okay. So, hold on, let's pause it. There we go. So, here's a part that seems tricky, but it's really not, okay? And let's back it up a smidge. So, what just happened with the boss and the blue mirror is going to happen with this red mirror. So, the mirror, not the boss, is going to have a donut. So don't necessarily be close to the boss, be close to the mirror. So the mirror is going to make a donut here, and the mirror is going to shoot out cones to the 4 closest people. And we need to make sure that we don't fire a cone at the other group. So the other mirror is over here because we looked. And us as melee, we're going to have to adjust. So one tank is always going to be on the side. One tank is always going to be on this side. So depending on which melee you are, you might have to adjust. So the mirror is on the left side, and melee 1 is on the left. So melee 1 is going to have to adjust. So me as melee 2, I'm going to be like kind of close here. So there's going to be, the off tank is going to fire a cone this way. I'm going to fire a cone this way. The melee 1 is a lot easier than you would think. So instead of being over here on the left, they're going to move. So they're more in like the middle. You see this line on the floor right here? You just have to stand on that line. So you're going to bait your cone towards the middle of the platform. I've been on Party Finder a lot, and a lot of melees will really try and move way farther and make the safe spot even smaller, and it annoys the hell out of me. You just have to be in the middle. Bait your cone towards the middle. You don't have to smush us all into one corner. You have way more room if you do it that way. So if we go here, we can see this melee did it fine. So we have tank, melee 2, melee 1, tank. And that leaves a safe spot around here where we're not going to hit. And then finally, the last mechanic that I'm going to go over in this video is just banish 3. This is going to happen twice in this phase. One's going to happen later at the end. So banish 3, it's going to either be a 2-person stack or a full party spread. And the tell for that are these orbs. If there's 4 orbs, it is a spread. If there's 1 orb, it is a stack. And all this is the tanks are going to stay like on the wall over here. If you're melee 2, you're going to be, again, on the right as you are looking at the wall. So that means if you're looking on the wall and you're on the right, you're going to be over here, and then melee 1 is going to be over here. It's all perspective. This doesn't hurt that hard. Like, you don't have to super mitigate it. There should be other mits going on too. Awesome. And then we get into light rampant, which will be, I'm going to make a second video for that, for light rampant and transition. So, let's do one more example. Let's see, I don't know. Is this a good example? Okay, let's just talk through this one and see what happens. I don't remember what I had a ton of footage of just like examples for this video. So mirror image. Diamond dust, look for the cast. And we're gonna break this down again. All right, so we're looking at the cast. Scythe is in, and then we need to figure out, are we swapping? So we need to remember circles off of circles. And we see that circles are on circles, so we need to swap. So we swap. And we are the circles, so we need to be a little bit farther from the boss. You can't really see it in with all the colors, but there's like an arrow here, and I'm like standing on the arrow, so the other people can be closer. And I'm also looking at this cast. As soon as this cast disappears, we are free to move out to that line on the floor. We drop it on the line, we come back in, we find the safe spot. We know it's 3 because there's no Venn diagram here. Get knocked back. Got a few deaths here, actually. And then we see the white. We're going to rotate away from the right. Away from the white, which is to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. We look away from the boss. And then we are going to look at the cast bar that's going to end up here. If it's stillness, we go behind. If it's silence, we start in front. It is silent, so we wait. And as soon as this cast bar disappears, then we go. And we're good. Holiday is just a party stack. Do we live with 2 people dead? Yes, we do. We mitted the hell out of that. Mirror is gonna spawn. The tank is gonna pull it away from the blue mirror. And we are melee 2. So we're gonna be on the right, aiming the cone to the side, away from the blue mirror. Look around. Now, we see that this is the closest mirror that we're going to go to. We are on the right, which means we have to shift. I'll show you that. So really fast. The other mirror is over here. So if I was to the right, like here, the cone would kill the other group. So instead, see this line on the floor right here? I'm on this line, so I'm baiting the cone towards the center of the room. I shifted a little bit so the cone gets going to the center. Easy peasy. And then we look, there's 4 orbs, which means it's a spread instead of a stack. If it was a stack, I would just stand on top of this tank right here, the closest tank. And that's it. So this is the first half of the second phase. I'm going to create another video for Light Rampant and Transition. Hopefully this was useful to somebody. If it is, let me know below. If it wasn't, I'm surprised you're still here. Have a good one.